Hello and welcome to my video. This is one I did a week ago. It's a Zoom class painting, and to be honest, I wasn't feeling great before the lesson, and I think it shows that the painting is just a little bit flat, to put it mildly. So I'm going to try and add a bit of fire to it. Now there will be a video of me getting to this stage in the painting, but it'll be a Zoom quality video, so it won't be that wonderful. But however, this one should be fine, because this is not going through the Zoom video masher. So anyway, there we are. That's all it is. It took an hour. It's 60 centimeters wide, 80 deep. And quite a lot to do in an hour, or maybe I think maybe this one might have taken just over an hour. Anyway, I want to add a bit of fire to it, a little bit of I don't know what you call it, pizzazz, bit of pizzazness. So off we go. Right, I was going to start with a sort of general overview of the whole thing, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to start with the clouds and then work down. What I want to do is lose a bit of the blueness, but it's a very blue painting. Now, there's nothing wrong with blue. It's one of my favourite, if not my favourite colour. But I want to get a little bit more, I don't know, just something. Here's a quick look at my palette. Cadmium orange, Japanese red, royal blue, which seems to have come out the tube with quite a lot of oil in it, ultramarine blue, and Payne's grey, and that's just for starters. So what am I after? Well, some of you may know I have this weird memory thing. I can recall images quite easily, and sometimes I'll go to bed and I'll sort of be lying there and I'll get all these images popping up, and sometimes the odd image pops up that I can't think for the life of me where I've seen it before, and maybe I haven't seen it, who knows. So oh, and the other colour I'm going to use is white, and that's not on the palette because I'll be using quite a lot, so it's sort of slopped onto my work surface here. And I fancy a colour that's got a little bit of sort of, I quite like sort of violet, and not in-your-face violet. There's out-of-your-face violet and there's in-your-face, a sort of subtle violet. Bluey, reddy, lavendery sort of colour, instead of a blue sky, because why not? So up here, let's make sure you can see, right, up here I've got blue, which is fine, but I don't want it. Not in this painting. And don't forget what I said at the beginning. If you want to see how I got this far in the painting, the video will be going up in a few days. It's just not ready yet. So let's get something a little bit exciting up there. Define exciting. I don't know. What is exciting? It's been so long, I can't remember. So this is Japanese red, royal blue, titanium white. And I'm going to do my little thing that I quite often do, and that is to semi-mix in a bit of white, just to get a bit of variation into the colour. There we go. It's not, there are no measurements, I don't, oh right, here we go. Right, I'm getting some questions lately. How much oil do I put in the paint? I don't know. It's something that you have to experiment with, because I don't know how much oil paint you've got on your palette, so I can't tell you what ratio of oil to add to it. It's just down to feel. Okay, that's that one. That's the other thing. I know I say this on a lot of my videos, but yes, you can do this in acrylics. You can do something that looks like it. You can't use my technique with acrylics. It just doesn't work. Keep asking if you want, but I will get to the point where I'll be ignoring those sort of comments. Something else to have a little moan about. No, I do not want anything to do with NFTs. It's like the world has gone completely insane at the moment. you go onto any social network platform and there's some nitwit saying, I really like your work, it moves me, I don't know what to say to you other than the fact that I would like to sell your work as NFTs. Or was it buy your work? I don't know, whatever it is they want. It's a con. All they're doing is trying to get all your personal details and access to some kind of financial organization, maybe the people who handle your NFTs if you're into Bitcoin, all that stuff. Be very careful. If they post on your photo that they want to buy NFTs, suggest that you have a Zoom conversation, face to face, Zoom or Skype, and they'll disappear because they can't show their face because it's not the person in the photo. So it's worth knowing that. Okay, what's the other thing? Yes, I use linseed oil. I sometimes use liquin, or have done. Let's put it that way. Not for a long time. Not for about 3 years, I guess. Because it stinks. And that's that. So yeah, the sky's it's losing its blueness, which is exactly what I want. And I'm just sort of not too concerned about how the paint looks at the moment. It sort of looks okay. It's very hard to make a mistake when the underpainting is quite dry, and this is quite dry. So, you know, just slap away. Oh, I'd like to also say this. I'm doing a, well, I will eventually, as soon as I can get my teeth into it, I'm going to be doing a collaboration with an artist called Robert Mee. He also lives in France. He's an extremely good, very talented watercolorist. And the plan is that he's already done his painting. He did a painting, I think it was based on something by George Innes. I just couldn't, I tried to get round to mine, and then when I got all sort of keyed up to do it, I ended up in hospital for a while, and then out, and then in again, and then out, and then in. The joys of having a dicky ticker. And I will get round to it, Robert, don't worry. Hopefully in this lifetime. And so, yeah, his painting is extremely good. There'll be a link down below if you want to go and look at his page. And he really is very, very good fluid watercolorist. So apologies for the delay there, Robert. I will get to it. I'm adding a bit more Japanese red to this now. I've had people say to me, why are you putting red in the sky? I've never seen red in the sky. What I'd like to say to them is, do you ever leave the building where you live or work? Particularly if, you know, there's a sunset, you'll get red in the sky. But I have had people who say they think I'm completely crazy for putting red in the sky, but there you go. Right, so that's why I'm putting red in the sky. I like it. And it looks nice. What else? What else do you need to know? Anyway, let me explain to you about my bizarre eidetic memory. I tend to remember almost every image that I've ever seen. It's not as good now I'm older. It used to be spot on when I was young. I can still recall stuff from when I was 2 or 3 years old quite clearly. Let's just move that camera down a bit. And I hope I'm keeping out of the way. I think I am. Let's go down a bit more. I'll be changing the sea. There's the sea. Sea and a bit of land. I'll be working on that. Right, so what I want to do now at the bottom of the sky is add some ultramarine blue and some cat hair. I have a cat. Let's just get that out of the way. Right, we'll try and leave out as much of the cat hair as possible. So Payne's grey, ultramarine blue. In fact, slightly leaning towards the ultramarine. Now, usually I put the darker part of the sky at the top, but you don't have to. You can reverse that because this colour will be the colour of darker clouds that are down here. Let's just sort of reverse it for the heck of it. Yeah, anyway, I can sort of go out and I can look at an image. Well, not an image, beg your pardon. I can go out and look at a scene somewhere and commit it to memory. I do that because I can, but also I don't want to work from photographs because I find photographs will limit the feeling that I want to put into what I'm seeing, because a photograph cannot actually compete with what's in your head. It's like when you read a book and then you watch the film of the book, and the book is usually better because you can create things in your head that they can't necessarily create in film. And I know they're pretty good nowadays, special effects and all that stuff, but there's something about the images that are in your mind. There'll always be, you know, the ultimate. I remember when I was a kid listening to, when I was very young in school, listening to a sort of story time thing that they used to do. One of the teachers would sit in front, not just in the class, but in the sort of, probably the same place where I've put my palette knife. Here it is. Okay, and they would read a story, and there was one which I'm sure nobody's heard of, and it was called The Adventures of Martin Rattler. Strange title, I can remember that. This is back in the 50s. And this teacher read the story to the school, and the images in my head were absolutely incredible. I was mesmerised by it. It was then when I really noticed that I could just sort of pull up pictures. The reason I got my palette knife is when you start to put on the second layer of paint, don't worry about scratching it either like this. You will notice either bumps in the paint or bristles that have got stuck. So just pull them off, and any marks you make, they just go away like so. Anyway, yeah, I can go out, look at a view, remember it, and then recall it. Very, very useful. It doesn't mean to say that I'm clever. You have to establish that. Doesn't mean you're clever because you can do these weird things. Like, although I'm sure maybe I'm not totally right there. Maybe it's. I'm not quite sure how to explain what I'm trying to say, but when you get, I'm always fascinated, you know, when you get a kid of say 4 or 5 years old and younger sometimes, and they sit at a piano and play a bit of Mozart or Chopin, and it's flawless. And they haven't even got the music in front of them. Now, are they clever? Where does that come from? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So, yeah, fascinating world we live in. So this is all this sort of untidy stuff here. This is, as I said, this is ultramarine blue, Payne's grey, Japanese red. There's also a little bit of cadmium orange in the sky up the top here, mixed with royal blue. There'll be a list in the description box underneath this video, by the way. So what are we going to do here? I've got a landscape, a distant landscape on a seascape at the bottom, and it's not what I wanted. Let's move you down a bit. So the land and the sea, I could leave off that bit of land, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to just sort of darken it a tad. Let's just get some colour in here and change the shape of it slightly. Now I'm going to go over this with a big brush in a minute, just to sort of blur things. But I want to, I just want to lose this blueness. I just think I've overdosed on blue. Sounds like a song title, but right, so let's do a little bit of blurring. I've got several brushes on the go here. This one will do it. It's got less cat hair on it. I must talk to this cat. Right, the sky, let's just sort of just soften a few things down there. Very quick. Now, I'm not using a lot of paint. So there's no chance of it getting all mushy. What there is a chance of, though, is me going insane because of all this rattling. Touch of the rattles today. Right, so there's my sky coming along. Just a bit of softening. I'll be working on it a bit more in a minute. But I want it a bit more, I don't know, painterly. It was just, do you know, when I started the class the other day, I wasn't feeling totally wonderful. It's one of the joys of my condition. Occasionally you feel really yucky. That's much more fiery, yeah, like that. And I thought, well, shall I cancel the lesson? Doesn't happen often. It has been known to happen. I think twice, maybe. Twice in about 3 or 4 years. I think that's how long I've been doing Zoom classes. And I thought, no, I'll go ahead anyway, see how it goes. Because usually I find that I feel better once I start painting and talking to people. It's almost like my students have a therapeutic effect on me. It's nice to, well, that's a funny little word, isn't it? Nice. It's great to actually have a bunch of people who turn up week after week to watch you paint and then have a nice conversation afterwards. Can't beat it. Right, so the sea, I'm darkening the sea down. I don't know what on earth was going on in my head. I don't know. But this is a very blue sea. I know you do get it. You know, the sea can be very blue. And but I think it's more interesting when it isn't, because you get dark bits occasionally. Now this effect here, that's working quite nicely, and that is just accidental. That's just the original paint colour showing through that where I've left it. And I'm going to simplify all this down, all this wave stuff. I'm not a wavy person, to be honest. I'm much more interested in the feeling of the sea. I don't really want to stand here painting every bubble in the ocean. Just juggling my brushes here a bit, if you bear with me. I'll make sure I don't use the one I'm blurring in the wrong place. Got paint all over my arm now. You don't just get painting when you come to my page, you know, you get all kinds of little mini disasters thrown in, like painting on your arm, painting on your face occasionally. Okay, right. So the sea, let's just keep working down. We've got a sort of darkish, greyish, bluish colour. And I want to reduce the amount of sea and move the beach up. And that will be interesting. I insist. Right, so let's keep losing the blue. Let's just put paint over it. It's not, I suppose, in a way, some of this is glazing, but it's not like total glazing. It's muting, I think. Okay, so that's darkened it down even more. And we got a good feeling of distance. Good, I like that. This is what I should have done the other night. You notice when I do the horizon, I always tell people this. What I do is I go over to the right there, I'm probably in the way, I'm sorry, lock my arm and then move my entire body to the left. You get a much flatter line when you do that. Let's go into Mr. Exciting mode now and put on a little bit of beach colour, but I don't want to, yellow beach. It's not really me. You know, I come from a land of gravel, so let's do that. So I'm going to use a little bit of yellow ochre. I don't want to end up necessarily with a green beach. However, I have a plan. If that happens, I'll turn the green beach into land. The thing about painting, you see, you may think to yourself, I'm going to paint a picture today and I'm going to paint a landscape. Now, if you find, maybe it applies to beginners only, I don't know, but if you find that what you started out painting looks like something else, don't stop. Don't feel that you failed because it doesn't look like the original thing that you started out painting. Accept what the universe is hurling at you. So if you start painting a beach and it ends up looking like grass, paint a landscape. Okay, right. So this is going to be very interesting because this is going to be Payne's grey and yellow ochre, which incidentally makes a really interesting colour. Now, because of video, video isn't going to show you the exact accurate colour, but Payne's grey and yellow ochre comes out. You may not see it. I'll try. Let's hit the focus button. So this should focus on the closest object. There you are. It's a sort of mossy, greeny, grey sort of colour. So I'm going to just sort of shovel that on, see what happens. And let's put it down here. Let's just sort of ladle it on. Well, I'm not actually ladling, am I? I haven't got a big enough palette knife for that. It's going to be harder for me to keep out the way here, so I'll do my best though. But if I get in the way, you tell me. Most people do. Right, so let's do it. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do it a quick way. Let's just put a few dabs along the foreground here. Hopefully this will encourage you to loosen up and not worry about being precise and making mistakes. So I'm going to put a hint of a little bit more yellow just there. Yellow ochre, that is. Right, so let's just shovel that on. And smear a bit of that down there. There we go. Okay, total mess. Actually, it looks like, looking in the camera, looks like a few rocks in the foreground. So let's just keep going. Let's have a bit more down the bottom. I'm going to use a brush in a minute. So this is just to get the paint from the palette onto there. And now let's see what happens when we push it about. Right, here's an oldish brush. I can tell it's old because it's got more cat hairs on it. Sorry to go on about cat hairs, but my cat is a big factor in my life. Okay, now that's looking, I have to say, I could get away with leaving that, but I'm not going to. I'll take it a little step further. Yeah, that's a good example of let the paint talk back at you. In other words, I threw the paint on and I let my mind wander. Doesn't have to wander to anything specific, just anywhere but the painting. So what my mind was on was leaning over, trying not to put my back out. Well, I suppose that's one way of thinking of it. And so all I'm doing, you see, I'm just putting these dark shapes, Payne's grey, yellow ochre. That's all it is. And suddenly, what do we have? we have rocks covered with seaweed. They just appear. And then once they're on there, don't demolish them. Don't demolish what you've done. Just enhance. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised once you get to the point where you totally let go and just let it happen. Right, so what have we got here? We've got a whole load of happy accident. And this is the difference between feeling slightly icky and feeling better. Today I definitely feel better. Right, concentrating not on the painting now, concentrating on my spine, trying to keep it all in the right place. So far so good. Famous last words. No, really, it's working. Okay, so my mind is on my spine, not on the painting. And there we are, some rocks covered in seaweed have magically appeared. There we are, with a little bit of beach sand showing through. I really like that. Right, I'm just going to do a little bit of work here. So I got this, my original brush, which has got Ultramarine, Royal Blue, Japanese Red, Cadmium, Orange. It's got everything on it. So let's see what we can do if I add just a little bit more grey, because I don't like that light just there. It's nothing personal, I just think it's in the wrong place. So what happens when I do that? It's almost better. Not quite. So let's start here, moving the whole body, and again moving the whole body to the left. And again, how much in the way am I? Oh, that's not too bad. Okay. Right. That's exactly what I'm after. Now I need the blurring brush again. Right, before I do any too much blurring, I want to do something with this bit of sky here. Well, I am going to do blurring, but because it's just not totally what I'm after. There we are, that's what I want. I want some of these. And all I'm doing to get that light effect is I'm knocking some of the paint off. So I'm going back to the colour that's underneath. Let's move that up a little bit more. Figure out what we're going to do with that sky. In fact, that's what I'm going to do with the sky, and not a lot more. I'm slightly perturbed. Generally in life, I'm perturbed. No, I'm just slightly perturbed with the horizon. So I'm just going to do that over the whole thing, just to blur it a touch more, and also to check that we don't have any hills in the sea. There's a bit of a hill there. So I'm going to just move that way. So I will be in the way briefly. Maybe what I'll do is cut this out, and then I'll come back after I've done it, and you can see what will happen to that line, I hope. Now perhaps you can see a slight change there. It'll be subtle. Okay, a bit more blurring. I don't want this to look like land up here, you see, I want it to look like sky. And it could look like a giant hill. I don't think it does though. There are times when it could, but I think it's okay. I think it's looking like clouds, so maybe I'll just do a few of these. So when you're doing anything like this, you know, Random, 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 random. That's the big word. That's today's word. Remember that. Random. Everything has to be random. Do not repeat cloud shapes. In fact, I might even risk the painting and show you what is not good. Right, what you don't want. Cloud, 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 cloud. I mean, it's sort of okay. And you do get it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in a painting. So let's just sort of scumble that around a bit to get that repeat pattern out. I have seen it, funnily enough, I saw it the other day. I was out driving around and I thought, well, I won't paint that sky. Maybe it got stuck in my head. That's why I did that. Anyway, let's just sort of blur that a bit. Have I still got it? Well, actually, let's leave it. It's not as random as it could be. I beg your pardon. It's not as rigid as it could be. It is sort of random. Or do I? No, I don't. I'm going to put a little bit of something there just to sort of take the eye off it. That could be good. Yeah, I think that'll do. So this is obviously sundown, isn't it? Reminds me of a song. Can't think of it at the moment. Gordon Lightfoot, I think. Yeah. Right. So let's think about a little bit of white just along there. I'm going to be very careful how I do that because I don't want to ruin what I've got. I actually like what I've got there, and as I said, I don't want to ruin it. So let's go, while I'm thinking about that, let's go just quickly up there, back to the sky. I'm in a bit of a hurry on this painting now because tomorrow I'm starting a 2-day event where I will just be concentrating on teaching people how to paint stormy skies. So maybe I'll let it lean towards something like this. This is sort of stormy. Sometimes, you know, it's hard to see where a painting shows a storm and where it shows just a sort of colourful, slightly dramatic sky. It's not really meant to be a storm. That's quite a nice effect. Yeah, pleased with that. Do I need to do anything down there? I think I do. Let's just see what's underneath that. I think little hints of something showing through wouldn't be a bad thing there. Okay. Yeah. Pleased. Well, you know, pleased as I'll ever be. Okay, that's final touches up here, and then I'm going to go down onto the beach, do a few bits on there, and then that will be it. So this is the sort of sky I'm going to be showing my students how to do tomorrow and Sunday. There is still, hopefully, well, if I can get this video up today onto YouTube, there would probably still be time to book if you wanted. And yeah, it's always a laugh. I make it so. It has to be fun. You can't really paint, I don't think anyway, if you're totally miserable. And I think I've overdone that shadow. Let's just break that and then try and get off it without getting bogged down. I think that's more interesting. Right, good. Right, okay, that's that. So a little bit of work down there, and for that I might actually move the, well, I'll point the camera down, but I will also sit on a chair. Okay, so the bottom part, we've got all these nice accidental things happening here, and what I don't want to do really is ruin them. So that's going to be interesting. That word again. Okay, so all I'm going to do really, you see, something I ought to point out. You do get reflections in the sea. It depends on the condition of the sea. If the sea is very choppy, you'll probably get reflections. You can get light changes across the water, but often when it's the sea, something like a bit of land there won't actually reflect in the sea because it's too choppy for it to show. So I'm not going to worry about reflecting that in the water. In fact, I'm not sure yet. I'm sort of thinking I may change the shape of that, make it bigger. Don't know. We'll see. At the moment, all I want to do is literally just, without getting fiddly, is to just have a little bit of light jumping about on the water. And without going too far. Simple and as fluid as I can make it. You've got to, how do I do that? Oh, right. What I was saying earlier about when your mind is on something else, painting often can become quite easy, or easier. With water, you do have to sort of maintain the idea of fluidness and a little bit of a, what's the word? You've got to be mindful of how water behaves. With clouds, it's not actually quite so rigid. It's just my personal view. Don't take this as medical advice, as they say. It's a different, I think it's a different thinking process, personally. Right, let's put a little bit of a line across there because why not? I won't be doing much more than this, really. In fact, my mind is on something else. It's on trying to get the paint off my hands at the moment. Right. Now, over here, I think I'm going to put a little bit more white. And again, apologies if I'm in the way. Okay, I just want to sort of push it around here a bit and then just mash it around into that colour that's above it until it looks good and I hear the voices in my head saying stop, because occasionally they do shout at me. And while I've got this bit of paper in my hand, I'm going to see, white paper, white paint, it's always going to end up on your finger because you can't see it on the paper. That's all on both hands now. Okay, so all I want to do here is just a little bit of that. And then along here, so what am I after there? I'm after cleaning my hands, that's what. Right, let's get my hands clean, I'll come back. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly you can clean your hands when you speed the video up. Back to the white, I blurred it a little bit along there. I need to look at it on the camera. Sort of okay, but not totally what we want. And then I'm just going to put a little bit more back without falling off my chair, I hope. And for those of you who are new here, the hat is not a fashion statement. It's holding my microphone. It's the best way I can find to keep it safe, paint-free, and always in the same position. Right, so there we go. A little bit of white there. In fact, I might take this a stage further. sure yet. I'm still waiting for the voice in my head to say, back off, Stewie. Actually, that's not so bad. Right, so top edge, without picking up too much paint again. Another quick wipe along the top edge of what I've put on. Okay, I'm going to go and look at that from a distance. Yes, it's abstract landscape. That is really talking to me now. The only other thing I think I want to do, and you may disagree, that's okay, you can, is the actual horizon here. I might get a bit of white paint into that. I think that's what I'll do. I'm going to do it from a sitting position, and you know, when I was younger, I could have done this dangling from a trapeze from the ceiling, but you know, as you get older, you find you don't want to be on the trapeze quite so much. Okay, so palette knife, obviously, got it in my hand. All I want to do is just take a little bit of white right up to the edge of the land, and then right down to the edge of the water. Now, the question I asked myself is, do I just want that bright spot? So many questions. And there are lots of answers. So, one answer is, yeah, that's fine. And the other answer is, not quite. Not yet. I want a little bit more. So I'm just going to pull that across there and let it fragment. And then when I've got that on there, I'm going to just move a big brush sharply to the right. And that's another one of those things where there's two ways to do it. You can either leave it like this, so it's got that textured look, or you can blur it just a touch. Yeah, you can leave it sort of fragmented, and or blur it. And I'm not totally sure yet. I'll tell you what I do want to do. I've got that light there. I think I want just a little tiny touch of light just over here too. And that, I hope you can see past my elbow. Let's just do this and see what happens. Okay, so piece of paper that so far hasn't managed to get paint all over me. Cleaned it. Right, so with this clean bit of paper, the first thing I'm going to do is make this flat. Hope you can see that. Check over my shoulder, you can. Make that flat so it's nice and smooth, okay? And I'm just going to move that way, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to move this upwards slightly. Now, do I get up and do this and get in your way, or do I just see what I can get away with? Let's try it. Okay, so let's move this to the right. Good. And then with another clean edge, move that. And a second time. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. And then I'm going to get the dark blue mountain and everything else brush. Where did I put that? There it is. Okay, so this brush, that's all this stuff up here. And on my palette, here's my palette, another view of it so that you can see what's going on. There we are. Totally non-informative. I don't have a thing against showing palettes. It's just that I don't think it's awfully important. Or to mix paint. All you're doing is having a lump of paint here, lump of paint there, pulling them together, adding colours, see what happens. If you don't like it, start again. Keep it that sort of simple, and takes away a lot of the anguish. Okay, so I'm going to put some texture back in front of the on the mountain here, and then pull some of the light down into the land. Let's pull that across. I'm just making textures really. So a little bit careful as I come down to that point. There, that's okay. There were a couple of boats here. I'm not worried about the boats, quite honestly. Now, using the paint that's on the brush, just to see what it does. Looks okay. Right, where can you see? I have to crick my neck and look over my shoulder. Okay, down here, you can't really see that, can you? Well, maybe you can. Let's move this to the right again. That's a good enough horizon. And I think we're almost done. Definitely, from my way of thinking anyway, it's definitely perked everything up. It was just too bland and blue, and I think now it's got a little bit of fire in it. A bit more fire up here, down there. And a bit of texture. Nothing wrong with a bit of texture. I'm going to blur this one final time when I finished fiddling with that. Good. Right, that's it. So the blurring brush. As I move up, I'll move the camera, but for the moment, it's just literally you may not even see much happening here, but I'm just softening a few edges. And this bit here, let's just take a quick peek at that in the camera. Actually, it looks all right, you know. I'm going to just do that. That's it. Ta-da. I think that might be done. Okay, so right, before I go, I just want to say, you know, the usual stuff. I've spotted something. We've got a weird thing in the sky happening. Isn't that strange? I see it in the camera. I don't see it so much in the painting. Now I can. Got it. We've got some kind of eye thing going on there. Can't have that. I think that's mashed it up enough. Well, it's just turned into a different eye. In fact, we've got Jabba the Hutt. A Jabba the Hutt thing with great big pointy ears now. I might do a class on elf and goblin painting, because I'll tell you what, they just appear. It's not so bad. Okay, all right. So yeah, if you want to come to any of my lessons on Zoom, link will be below to my website. You go to my website and there's a tab, I think it's the second one from the left at the top. You'll see something about learning in France or learning online. So go there, that'll give you some information. You can always ask me a question below, or you can contact me on Facebook. Join my group on Facebook if you want, Students of Stuart Davies. I didn't start the group, somebody else did. And thank you for doing that, Linda. And lots of people have joined up. I think we're just under 2,000 people. But you get a chance to upload your painting in the style of what I'm doing, and with your own touch to it, obviously. Right, let's go. Let's have a look at the top of the sky. Yeah, it's not so bad. Nice bit of interesting light catching it at the top there. Good. Whoops, back down again. And the beach. Right, one little thing just here. I've got a downward movement there. Let's just see what we can do with that. I don't think it takes much. That's okay. All right, so there we are. Thank you for being here. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've learned something. And what I want to say is, what I'm trying to teach you before I go is relax. It's just a painting. It'll either go right or it'll go wrong. If it goes wrong, wipe it off, start again. If it goes right, yippee. And take care. See you soon. Bye for now.